Games in Canada are basically $100, and I don't have $100 for every game anymore. I'm a broke boy. And while Drizzy Drake won't be talking to me anytime soon, a new SpongeBob game did release to pretty mixed reviews. And while it may not be the SpongeBob that I know anymore, I do enjoy seeing SpongeBob in new and creative ways. So if you would like to see SpongeBob in a completely different light, or just enjoy some games that don't hurt your wallet, these are 3 SpongeBob games for free 99. Now here's the deal. All of these games that I'm going to show you will have my own thoughts. I'll tell you my pros and cons on everything of what I like and didn't like about it. As well, even though these are free, some of them give you the chance to pay. And I say if you like what you see, throw a few bucks if you can. A lot of these games that I'm showing you today are solo one-man team projects, and you have no idea how good it feels that someone would be willing to pay for something you put a lot of time into. It'll make their day. Finally, I'll put all the links in the description and in the comment section, so that way if one of these does tickle your fancy, you'd like to check it out, you don't have to go digging any farther. The first game, Sinister Squidward. This was made by Rinbash, and the plot is that Squidward wants to delete himself and all the people he hates in Bikini Bottom.
Delete! 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 Delete!
And you flip through 2 perspectives, one being Squidward and the second being Sandy, to save some of your favorite SpongeBob characters. What I really liked about the game is the concept and the idea that you're flipping between Squidward and Sandy, seeing 2 different perspectives while you play the game. It's also cool to see Squidward sort of be the star of one of these SpongeBob games where usually he's just a side character you don't think about. The atmosphere is spooky and moody and unsettling. The controls are pretty good. They don't really get in the way, which I think is a positive. As long as the controls aren't getting in the way of the experience, you're in good hands. My only con for this game is the lack of checkpoints. For this game particularly, I recorded all of it off of stream. What you don't see is the hour-plus footage that I had to go through because I kept dying by accident or by little mistakes, and you'd have to go back a significant amount and redo a lot of the game again. And while the overall game is done, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. If there were any updates that were to be made, the one thing I would ask is just to have a checkpoint right in the middle, just so you don't have to go back and keep redoing the same parts if you're like me and really struggling. I found myself more frustrated the longer I kept playing and having to redo the same parts over and over. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was recording it for a video, I probably would have just stopped. That's not to say it's bad. It's just to say that if you die a lot, prepare to see a lot of the same thing over and over and over. Game number 2, Mr. Krabs Does Ketamine. A classic. Ooh, baby. This was made by Thrill to Will and is about Mr. Krabs getting high on his own supply while also being the plug for everyone else in Bikini Bottom. The environment, although really dense, is quite an enjoyable experience. I think that it really captures Bikini Bottom in a condensed state, but enough that it feels pretty lively. There's a few bizarre moments that kind of catch you off guard, but can be pretty enjoyable because look, this isn't a Nickelodeon licensed game here, okay?
FBI, open up!
Uh-oh. But even seeing all of these characters in a more adult and bizarre light is fun. The game looks pretty, it runs on a good engine, and the controls work well enough. There's not really much of a tutorial, so a bit of a struggle there, a bit of a learning curve to start. The only sort of con runs into the same vein as the Pro, which is the Pro, that there's a great speedrunning community. So once you've played the game a couple of times, if you want to dial down your time or just enjoy it in a different way, you can start to speedrun it and get on the leaderboard. But the con about that is the fact that the game is pretty buggy. This game is about 3 years old now, and when I played it a few months ago, I don't even think I actually completed it correctly. I think I got a bugged end, but I had spent so long playing it on stream that I kind of just accepted that that was the end of the game. Overall, I think it's a classic, and if you haven't experienced it yet, give it a shot. My personal favorite, game number 3, is The True Ingredient. This was made by Render Pie, who I've played a few of their games at this point now. I found them all very enjoyable, and I'll get into some of the specific reasons as to why. But I just got an email that there's another game out with Render Pie, which I might be checking out next. The plot is you're a hungry little fish and you go to your favorite establishment in the world, the Crunchy Cans, to enjoy a delicious human burger. And from there, things get sticky and hairy and spooky. This is the longest of the 3 games and has a lot of different dynamic parts to it, a lot of different puzzles and areas, and overall a really interesting story that doesn't quite latch on to the whole SpongeBob and characters, but more to the idea of Bikini Bottom, or maybe that were in the crunchy cans, the Fofini Fottom.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The True Ingredient, I think, has a really interesting story with it. Great pacing. It really moves you along nicely. When it needs to build tension, it builds tension. When it wants to make you laugh, it does a really good job of doing that. And when it scares you, well, they do a great job of scaring you, which I think is sort of its only con. The signature way that they try to scare you might lead to a seizure, which I guess maybe might be more of a warning than a con. But important to know, it's overwhelming in a lot of ways when it comes. Fun video games don't need to come at AAA prices. This was just 3 examples in one category of games that were made to be fun, and they are fun. And because of that, if you have any suggestions of fun games for free 99, let me know down in the comments and I'll whip together another list to keep our wallets happy and our hearts full. Until then, bye-bye. This was made by